All right, here we go. We are live. Welcome, everybody. This is the Waiting Room Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Waite, and today we've got a guest. You've heard the company name, you've never seen the face, so I'd like to introduce my guest today. It's Jason from the Arizona Flag Company.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Guys, I'm excited. Jason and I work together at the prison. Managed to walk into a maximum security prison with a smile on his face every day. Sometimes I wanted to see it, sometimes I didn't. But it was always appreciated that Jason would just come in and, he knew the job sucked, but man, be excited to go every day. What we got today, as always, NBA playoffs are going on right now. Then I want to hit on how Jason got started with his company and a little bit about him personally. We are going to incorporate everybody's favorite or least favorite segment, Why is Kyle Mad, in with the NBA playoffs. I'm going to be honest. Phoenix, good for Phoenix. I think it's great. I spent my childhood being excited watching them play when the Kings were out of it. But Phoenix, gets to the Western Conference Finals. I think it's great. I was wrong again. Everybody that's watched the show is just like, man, Kyle is not good at guessing sports. No, I'm not. I'm real hard to start believing in stuff that just has a habit of not being super great. But what's got Kyle mad is how soft we've gotten. And, I know it's the old guy thing. I'm not even that old. I'm 32. But it's, the old guy thing that sports was rougher and tougher. And it was. The biggest takeaway from that game last night, where, again, Phoenix swept out Denver and will head to the Western Conference Finals, is we know you're excited. For everybody that doesn't know it, the Arizona Flag Company is based out of Arizona. Jason's probably super geeked, or at least as much as he cares about, basketball. But, you get Nikola Jokic, the NBA MVP for 2021, tossed from the game for let's call it what it was, an overly aggressive swipe at a ball, and he managed to make contact with a smaller player's face. So I'm watching it and I'm watching it, and every time I watch it, I'm trying to watch something else I didn't, and I'm really trying to see where the hand come in contact with the face. Guess what? Everybody's man's hand never made contact with his face. His big old 7'2" arm came in contact with Cameron Payne's face, and hey, call it a foul, move on about your day. But come on, I'm not saying we should allow tackling in basketball, but it's a little ridiculous when you start getting a little swipey swipe, a little contact with your face. And I understand Nikola Jokic is a fucking monster. He's a big man. It's Cameron Payne. He's a smaller guy. Call the foul, give him 2 shots, move on about your day. I don't know what it is. I mean, maybe it's because we idolize LeBron James. Again, probably the second best player to ever play basketball. But he has, kind of encouraged, which has encouraged, other players, whether it be James Harden, whether it be, to a lesser extent, Devin Booker. You get guys that are, hey, I'm real good at drawing fouls. I'm going to draw fouls. But I won't lie. I do like seeing a little bit of physicality. I was never the most talented athlete playing sports, but I could be physical, and that's what coaches liked. And I'm not saying we allow tackling in basketball, but hey, a guy hits another guy in the face on accident, makes clear, just swipes at the ball, hits the ball, mind you, but his big old arm hits, managed to hit him in the face. Okay, it's a foul. I'm not disputing it was a foul. It was a foul. It just wasn't one that gets you ejected from a game, in my opinion. Do I think it affected the game? Not really. Denver was losing the whole game. They were losing the series. I said if they lose game 3, they're losing the series. They came out a little more hard game 4. But you know what? Hey, maybe they win game 4. They lose game 5. I didn't see Phoenix losing the series after Denver just mailed in game 3. But come on, let's stop being soft. Not saying as a person, you can be soft, have feelings, do all that. We're people. But when we play sports, especially professional sports, especially when, I'm not saying we should always, give the MVP superstar calls, but, if we do it for some, we should do it for all. Yeah, that's what's got kind of a little bugged. Brooklyn just, keeps getting injured. I told you guys when that series started, I was bored with it after game 1, bored with it after game 2, wasn't going to pay it any mind, and then guys start getting hurt. Make it a whole lot more interesting. Kyrie Irving goes down, and Brooklyn gives away the lead. Look, this might be an interesting. It's not fun if you're a Brooklyn fan. It's a little more interesting if you get into the fact that, hey, maybe Milwaukee can keep going. I love Kevin Durant, one of the most talented scorers to ever play a game. Love it, but you know what? If we get a little bit more of a series about it, I don't care who wins. I'm a Sacramento Kings fan. I'm not going to see my team in the championship. Never. So you know what? I just want some good basketball. Maybe this gives us better basketball. Maybe Milwaukee wins the series. I'd love to see it, with a healthy Brooklyn team. But all of a sudden, this series got interesting. Kyrie Irving was in a walking boot. Nobody has any clue if he's coming back. Nobody has any clue if James Harden's coming back. So, like I said, Brooklyn could have gone from overwhelming favorite, which they still are in Vegas, still the betting favorite. However, they are underdogs in their current series. I don't know how that works. You're an underdog in your current series, but you are the favorite to win the NBA title. So that's all I have on Brooklyn tonight, guys. We have Philly and Atlanta. I told you guys, Philly. They're too big. They're too big. They're too physical. Until Joel Embiid's knee explodes, Philly's got it. It's an accident waiting to happen. I want to say I've seen him taken out by an Atlanta Hawk a couple times, not on purpose, just during the course of play. But really, until Joel Embiid's not on the field or on the court, it's Philly. On top of that, we've got Utah Clippers. Utah's down now. Again, that's what I said about Clippers the entire playoffs. They're the fuck around and find out team. They keep fucking around, but if you fuck around with them, you're about to find out as well. And as long as the Clippers, as long as the Clippers have Kawhi, as long as they have Paul George, and Utah loses players like they lost Mike Conley for tonight's game, you got to wonder. Kawhi Leonard had more shots by the end of the third quarter than he had the entirety of game 2. On top of that, Reggie Jackson had, I think, about 8 shots as opposed to about the 20 he had from game 2. It's what I said. Kawhi's got to be more aggressive. They've got to get a little bit less from their role players. Sounds counterintuitive. I understand that. But if you're going to say, hey, do you want your role players scoring? Yeah, you do. You don't want them scoring in spite of your superstars. I've got the Clippers tonight. Clippers may not have figured it out, but down Mike Conley, I don't believe in the long-term scoring ability, which, hey, there's your jinx right there because I've just had it going this whole playoffs. I don't believe in the longevity of Jordan Clarkson staying semi-efficient because that's what I said. That if Jordan Clarkson can stay semi-efficient, it's a problem. But Jordan Clarkson is a known chucker. He will keep scoring, whether or not his team's winning. He'll keep throwing up shots. He was not efficient at all, not even close to semi-efficient. Game 3, and you all know how I feel about efficiency. I love it. Efficiency matters to Kyle. You know what? If Jordan Clarkson can be semi-efficient, Donovan Mitchell can get off again. It might be a game, but I've got Clippers tonight. Guys, that's all I got for sports today. I don't. Again, this is not a normal edition of the show. However, my guest today has Sunday and Mondays off, so I always want to accommodate my guests. And as I told you guys, I'm excited. Again, Jason and I worked at the prison, and we worked opposite shifts, but we would definitely see each other. Occasionally, we have to actually work shifts together. He's a good guy. And so when he started telling me a story about how he got into his business, like, I want you to share this with people, not just for the correctional aspect of it, because I do want to touch on your experience in corrections, but some of those issues that came with how this started for you do touch corrections and family stuff. And so I wanted to give you the floor. Jason, tell everybody how this all came about. How did you start the Arizona Flag Company?
Hey, well, thanks for having me. I've been with Department of Corrections for almost 5 years, going on 5 years. And started Coda to RAS Max level 5 custody yard. I was like 260 pounds when I graduated Coda. It was tough, walking on that concrete floor, running like I just straight up running. And after a while, I was like, I gotta lose some weight. I gotta take care of my body, because to handle this, wasn't young like all the other kids that were coming out of Coda that were in their 21, 22, 23 years. So I was 43 to 42 years old when I started, and so I had a lot of work to do. So I would always max out, get a lot of hours, because I had to pay the bills. DOC wasn't paying as much as we'd like them to pay, but that's neither here nor there about the pay. I just worked, and I got tired of it. One day, about the pre-COVID, I started I like working on Volkswagens. I had Volkswagen Bugs and VW Rabbits, and I started noticing more and more. After coming home from work, I wasn't interested in doing anything anymore. It was really hard for me to get out of bed. I had no energy getting out of bed. Even when I got out of bed, I had no motivation. Started selling my prized possessions, my Volkswagens. Started getting rid of my tools. My performance at work went down. I'm the kind of guy that when I come to shift, I'm there an hour early before my shift so I can get ready and get ready to go. No, it doesn't matter. Even a 12-hour shift, I'm there for 14 hours. And one of the hours is just for me to mentally prepare for the day and hang out with the staff and just shoot the shit until it's time to get ready. So I started noticing that the depression was getting bad, and I didn't really know what to do. Didn't have any. Got rid of my cars. Wasn't hanging out with my family. I was pretty much staying in my room. I wasn't talking much. I guess I'm not a doctor, but I really knew what depression was, and just didn't know where to go about it. And one day, my dad called me. My dad's an Army veteran. He called me. He knows. I've talked to him that, hey, I'm just not feeling right. I'm not all there. Just happy with myself. Wasn't sure where I was going to go with the department. Didn't know what I was going to do with my life. My dad called me and said, hey, I need you to come over. If you can come over and help me lift up some boxes. I'm like, all right, yeah, I'll get over there when I can. He goes, no, you're going to go ahead and get over here now. I'm like, all right. So I got over to my dad and got over to my dad's house, and we hung out in the garage for about an hour. Didn't really even move any boxes, and my mom called me in the house and asked me if I was all right. I'm like, no, I'm not really all right, but I'm here. I looked at my dad's office, and he had a flag, like a Pledge of Allegiance flag, and it was like it had the Pledge of Allegiance. It was black and white. The stars were painted on. I mean, it looked really nice. I was like, oh, I like that flag. And like everything else, my dad's made me earn what I've gotten. So I figured, like, what the hell, I'm going to give it a try. I'm like, hey, Dad, let me get that flag from you. I mean, what are you going to do with it? It's just sitting there on the ground. And my dad had got it because his neighbor was evicted through their house, and their landlord came and cleaned out all the house and put everything on the street for the trash services to come pick them up the next day. And my dad basically took the flag out of the pile and brought it into the house and saved it. He goes, I'm not giving you shit, son. You're going to go make your own. I'm like, what? I don't have – what? Come on, Dad. And he's like, no, I'm not going to give it to you. If you want a flag, you're going to go make it. I'm like, well, I don't want to spend money because I don't really have extra money to spend. I'm living paycheck to paycheck. I mean, literally paycheck to paycheck. And even with all the hours, I'm still working. And I'm like, all right, here, hold my beer. And I went home after I helped move my dad's boxes and went home and watched like 400 hours of video on YouTube. I mean, literally subscribed to every YouTube channel that had flag making on it, and it was there. I watched it. So I was thinking, oh, okay, I watched enough videos. I'm ready to pull the trigger and make my own. But I've gotten rid of all my tools. I didn't have anything. I didn't have any woodworking tools. I didn't have anything.
Right.
I had that toolbox. Whoops, sorry. That toolbox was all I had left that my dad gave me. And so I scrounged up if I didn't have any extra money because, I've done landscaping. I've done hot dog carts. I've done photography, just trying to make an extra buck so I didn't have to work so much at the prison. And I wasn't going to take any money out of my household because it was already limited. And so I ran, when you need change, what do? You go looking around for your change. You look under the couch cushion. I looked in my truck under the seats. The laundry room has a little jar in it from all the time that I wash my clothes. My wife puts change in it for me to take. So I got around $60, $65. I was excited. I'm like, all right. I ran to Walmart, dumped all that change in the machine and got like $65. That afternoon, I ran, it was maybe Saturday. I ran to the Glendale swap meet and bought my first miter saw, Ryobi saw, 10-inch blade, brand new out of the box. Went to Home Depot, bought some furring strips because it was cheap. I bought some stain, and that's all I bought. I also bought a cheap air impact nail gun. And so I made my flag. I was super excited. And I tell you, it was the worst flag ever made in the life. It looked like Helen Keller and Stevie Wonder had got together and had a baby, and it was terrible. They both they made their flags, and it was terrible. So I made another one. and I wasn't getting any better. No matter what I do wrong here. So I kept checking. I was happy. I was getting out of bed. I was actually motivated to get out in the garage and work. But my flag making was crap. So I kind of slipped right back down into a ravine, and I couldn't get myself out.
Yeah.
So I ran out of money. Said I figured I'll work a couple of extra hours of overtime. I got home one day. There was a card on the table from my wife, and this is gives me a little teary eye because she could realize the issues that I was having. She says, "I know how much." I have the card in the office, and I put it in a glass frame just so I can remember everything. And it said, "I see the passion you have when you're out in the garage. I know money's tight, but let's get this going and work on it." And she was a Home Depot card for $100. Turned everything. Babe, I gotta go. I gave her a big hug and a kiss. Ran to Home Depot. Bought more furring strips. I bought a lot of other things, and I came home, started working. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna make my dad a flag. I made him a carrier, a belt carrier, and it had United States Army on it, logo on it. And I posted on Facebook, and somebody hit me up and said, "Hey, that looks really good. Do you think you can make one for my dad?" He was military, Marines. How much would you charge? I don't know. I'm $80 maybe. I don't know. But right now I'm like super stoked. I got my first customer.
Right.
I'm a millionaire in my eyes. I'm like, hell, this is great. I'm my own businessman. So I tried thinking of a business name. I was ready to start a Facebook page. I was just super excited. I was ready to go. And so I said $80, and Bob sold my first flag. Went and gave my dad his Army flag, and he's like got a tear in his eye. He's like, this means a lot to me. It was his put his badge on there. It was the MST3 Maintenance Support Troop logo with the horse, and he was really, really proud of me. And he actually showed it. I never really got any kind of feelings from how my dad felt for me, So I kept. Next thing you know, I made another flag, and the orders just kept coming in. And I was still a little bit depressed. I still had a hard time getting out of bed, but it was easier to get out of bed than the day before. Or the day before, it was easier. And I started getting tools, and I started, the COVID hit, and it was like, oh shit, here we go. Now I'm stuck at home. My wife, now I'm stuck at home. I got COVID symptoms. Now what do? I'm going to stay at home and I'm going to work in the garage. And I started building my own shop. And when Donald Trump sent out that first stimulus check, I was an essential. We were all essentials, so I wasn't losing money. So that money, I figured in my head, they would want me to invest in my business. So I invested in my business. I took that $1,200 and I bought my first CNC machine. I bought a Bob's CNC 4. It cost me like $1,600, a couple $100 out of my own pocket, but I have my own CNC machine. And then, I started selling more flags, and now I'm up to 90 flags. And, I started with vinyl, and I got, long story short, man, it just, the next stimulus check came out, and I still essential. I wasn't losing any money. I was actually getting a little bit of a profit. I bought my next CNC machine, and I bought a new table saw and everything's just been occurring, and nothing's been coming out of pocket. I don't have to work as many hours. I'm paying off my debt. I'm happy. And, a lot of the times we do flag donations. I did the breast cancer awareness where we raised almost $3,000 for breast cancer awareness from raffling a flag. We're getting ready to do a flag-a-palooza where I'm building, I'm almost finished. Each branch has a flag, and I'm building a flag, and I'm going to drive around the city, and I'm going to find a veteran of each service branch, and I'm going to give them the flag. And just to get back to the community.
Right.
But my depression, I don't have an issue going to work anymore. I don't have an issue getting out of bed. I don't have an issue paying bills anymore because it's just, I don't know if I picked the right, everybody's patriotic. Everybody's got, everybody's got a family member that was in the military, or everybody's got a member that was working in the police department, the first responders, law enforcement, nurses during the COVID crisis, like in the epidemic, the hot spot of it. I did probably 30 or 40 RN flags for companies that wanted to get back to their nurses. And it's all been word of mouth because I haven't done much campaigning or promoting. I promote online and my Facebook and my Twitter. But then, I went through a shit where I posted a blue line law enforcement flag on Facebook, and somebody thought that it was racially profiling. So Facebook took my 17,000 likes from my customers and permanently banned my account. And so I had to start all over. And I'm probably going to get whacked again because Facebook's probably watching, but and the same thing with my Instagram, because they're linked. I posted a blue line flag that had ammo 9mm casings in the Union, and they thought that was racially profiling. And then they all, I get messages, all lives matter, and I'm like, or I get messages from, oh, you're desecrating the American flag. The flag should be hung like this. The flag shouldn't have anything on it. So I've been, a lot of hate from which I have to.
And to me, that's a little interesting because it's not just, you get that sort of racial profiling from, some people. And then I'm assuming from like patriotic people you get.
Oh, I got.
It's interesting because that's what, honestly, it's not really shocking. I kind of saw the road it was going down with the, because I know personally, the day that I got the invite for the Arizona Flag Company, was like, well, this is Jason. I'm like, well, what happened to his, and you kind of explained to me what happened. And honestly, kind of to be expected.
Well, I originally went with 623 Woodworks. That was my original business name. And I'm a patriotic guy. Everybody knows me. I'm very patriotic. Yeah. I love my country. I would do anything for my country. And I had some aspects of my logo that might have represented too much patriotic, and people felt offense to that. They said, well, what's the 13 stars for? What's this for? And they started dissecting my logo. And I'm like, I'm just, I sat on I drew this up, and, several, probably 50, 60 hate emails I was getting from people who thought that I was supporting the wrong people. And I was like, I'm not supporting anybody. I'm supporting my family. And so I started thinking, I said, well, let me rebrand. I want to rebrand my name. And what's the best thing to do is I sat down and I'm like, I live in Arizona. I sell flags, and I'm a company. And so then I'm like, I wonder if that website's taken. Type it in, and the Arizona Flag Company was available, and I bought it immediately. And there's another Arizona flag, but it's different. They spell their strange, but they sell product like flags that you fly on a flagpole, and they sell the accessories. Right. Totally opposite. I sell wooden display cases, wooden flags, wooden crosses, American Patriot Punishers. So it's totally opposite. So since then, I haven't got any of the hate mail. I haven't got any of the hate emails or any question. No one questions me, and because it's like number 2 on the search engine on Google for when you type in Arizona flag or Arizona flags or Arizona patriotic, it pops up there in the top 10. So the sales have driven. The sales have driven to probably like 60% higher than when I was at 63 Woodworks. But that 63 Woodworks was, it's mine, but we just had to rebrand. So now it's like I don't work any overtime. I go in 1 hour a day early to do my posting and my staffing. I get off at my normal time. I wake up at 6 a.m., 5 or 6 a.m. in the morning, work in the shop, build flags. At 11 o'clock, I shut the shop down. I go and get ready for work. And then I go to work. I'm there by 11, 12, about 12:30-ish. I start my shift, starts at 2 o'clock. I work until 10. I get off work. I stop, I get an energy drink, and I go and work in the shop. Yeah,
Man, I was about to say, he's like, yeah, it's like that's about mandatory, especially working at the prison. Yeah. So I work, and then I get off, and I come home, and I'm working in the shop until 2 o'clock. And that's how it is every day. Every day, except my wife said I had to take Sundays off because my honey-do list was getting out of control. My pool was out of, green. I had dog shit. Yeah, I had dog poop in the backyard that was piling up. I said, all right. So Sundays, I'm taking off a full day. Now I'm fighting with my wife because my garage space. I need more garage space for the shop. I'm expanding. But she's like, hey, we got a 3-car garage. Why am I parking on the driveway? And I'm like, well, because I got a business running in there, Only about 10% actually use the garage to actually park the car in the garage. So, but right now everything's good, man. I don't have, I take it every day by day. When I leave the department, when I leave every night, I make sure that I don't bring any anger or depression or I don't bring the prison to work, home. I take that 30 minutes, 45 minutes. I drive home. I play some AC/DC or some Bad Wolves. Nobody lives close to that prison. Nobody. If you're the closest anybody, that works at that prison lives is probably about 30 minutes. And I think that's good that you recognize stuff like that. I do have to, because you hit on it, the depression aspect of it. Was it more brought on by work, or was it just, you said it happened around COVID time? I mean, was it a combination of the two? What really just do you think hit you down in that funk?
I was depressed way before COVID hit.
Okay.
I was just too stupid to realize it, or just arrogant, or no. I was just too naive to believe that, hey, I could actually get depressed. I'm not the kind of guy that's going to take any psych meds. I'm not the guy that's going to go sit on a couch and listen to tell my story to some shrink, and so he can tell me that, hey, this is your issues. And instead of really finding the issues, we're just going to go ahead and give you medications to cover that up. And I'm not about that. So then I realized that my granddaughters are over and they're wanting to go swimming, and It's pre-COVID, and then but it really hit at COVID like maybe a week, 2 weeks, maybe a month before COVID is when I actually took it by the balls and I said, I seriously got a problem. And I don't know if it was work related. I don't know if it was just because, where am I going to go with my life? I was depressed because I got in at 25 years and I have to wait 25 years to retire, which that's depressing. A
little bit.
A lot of
the prison's a depressing place. Like, and that's, what people don't realize about the people who work in prison is it's like I said, you from everything that I ever saw of you, working with you, just seeing you coming into you would have a smile on your face. I didn't get to see you very often at the end of your shift to know if you were able to maintain that smile. But even for the most lighthearted, generally happy people, you see a lot of stuff, especially in that max custody setting, because it's different. It's a different animal working Walmart and working in the prison where day to day you might see a couple guys overdose, a guy gets stabbed, and another guy rub poop all over a cell.
Yeah, you see it every day. You don't believe what you see. Yeah, I've seen people get stabbed. I've seen shit thrown on the walls. People covered themselves in their own shit. I've seen people, eating their. It's things that people shouldn't see. I shouldn't see some inmate eating a poop sandwich. I shouldn't see. No, that's not good, man. It's like, come on. You're in prison, but there's no reason to lower yourself to that. There's no reason. You're putting a show. And I've been, fires at Ras Max. I've been at the hostage situation at Ras Max. I've been, I've seen it. And so working at a Max facility, going and then promoting to a sergeant, and then going and working at a Steiner unit at a level 3 yard, and it's a big difference, where inmates are walking around. I was literally in culture shock, walking on a yard and knowing Max is all I ever known, and that's my own fault because I never wanted to work anything else but Max. And walking, and an inmate walking up behind me said, "Hey, Sarge, can I talk to you for a second?" I'm like, or, "Hey, what time's karaoke?" Or what time is the, so it's a big setting, and I was culture shock. But the depression just stopped. I take every day. I'm not going to take life for granted because who knows? One day I wake up and I'm like, oh shit, I'm depressed again. But right now, things are really, really good. My grandkids are happy and they come over and I'm able to provide for them. I've taken Sundays off. I get the pool cleaned up. I got the cars all washed. If the worst thing is that my wife is complaining that because she can't park her car in the driveway or in the parking lot, or I'm sorry, in the garage, is the worst thing, then life's good.
And I think it's important that you recognize that. The biggest thing that and I know not everybody has it, but you do have that support system, there for you. Your wife picked you up when you were down, but recognizing it as a whole and saying, I'm not going to let it get to me, doing those little things, exiting the prison. I don't know how many people have seen me in my chonies out in the Lewis parking lot, and people would ask why I do that. And I told them, I was like, I do not come to work with the prison on me. I will not leave the prison with prison on me. I was like, I would show up to work in board shorts and a t-shirt or a tank top or whatever.
I remember that, dude. That's like good times. I remember that.
But that's what everybody, Officer Waite gets changed out in the parking lot because our locker rooms were never open. But that's what I told them, and to see other people realize, like, hey, I'm having a problem. I'm struggling, because that's what it was. A lot of people go to the prison. They don't figure out how to leave the prison at the prison. It's a hard thing to do. So to hear somebody say, I have these issues. I do have a support system, which is so important. And if you're not married, like you fortunately are, or I'm with a great partner. Hopefully, you have family or friends or some sort of support structure to help you see that. But then again, you're not just getting better. You're thriving, with your company. You're the Arizona Flag Company. Again, like, it's exciting to see some of the stuff. Anybody watching, go check out what Jason's doing. Some of these flags are really cool. I do have to ask because, we did hit a little bit on the political aspect. If somebody asked you to make a Black Lives Matter flag, you do it, right?
Yeah. I made an African flag. You know, I mean, whatever you want.
I mean, the people we work with, I mean, that's the thing. The people we work with, the people, you know, like we all come from different backgrounds and cultures. I kind of needed that just to be said on the podcast, just because of the person that I know. Again, the person that I know that runs this company, nothing but a good, respectful dude. Again, I'll tell people at times you'd be a little goofy, and I'd be like, Jason, I'm not ready to see the smile on your face, and I'd just walk past you. But again, it was always appreciated. But there was never a moment where I was like, man, Jason's kind of a piece of shit.
Yeah, no, I get it. There's been a lot of times, you know, I remember I've said, I don't know if you remember, but when I first started Roy Max, you know, they always put you in the control room. And this is funny because we had, you know, we had Andrews, Lewis, Bowling. I mean, all the guys. They get on the radio, go bang, 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 and they would all day long. Like, they would just do that. And I'm like, in the control, I'm like, shut the fuck up. And Captain Bremer, or Lieutenant Bremer at the time, go, Bong, call me on the phone. Bong, you can't say fuck on the radio. You can't say fuck on the radio. And then they would do it again. And then, you know, but yeah, there's been moments I don't like to, you know, there's been lots of times that I've been a dick, and
I've never been present. I mean, I hear you say this, brother, and I don't see it, which is, it's funny because I'm sure we all do. But it's funny to hear, like, you know, Jason's got his moments too. But again, it's seeing that you realize those things. Again, people need to be more comfortable being a little uncomfortable, and I want to show people that, hey, you know what, like, you can be depressed, and you know, I hope that, you know, if you struggle with that stuff, that you had, you know, continue to have that support system, that you find the, you know, people you need. You know, from, you know, across the country, sometimes across the world, you know, I'm here for you. But it's one of those things that, you know, people need to be comfortable with saying, you know, I'm depressed. Now what do I do? Again, as a kid, I didn't realize it as a kid, and I didn't really have, you know, the world's biggest problems. I came from a, you know, middle of the road family. You know, we weren't poor, we weren't rich. But like I had, you know, feelings on, you know, certain things, and I would refuse to recognize it until I joined the military. And they're like, well, you know, do you have mental health problems? I was like, well, no. And they're like, well, you went to a counselor for about 13 years for anger management. And I was like, maybe I do. Maybe I do have some you know. But that's what I want. You know,
some you know, it's one thing about being depressed. It's another to admit that you're depressed. Because God, I never was, you know, I'm Bong, man. There's nothing wrong with me. I'm not depressed. There's nothing wrong with my brain.
Right.
But then it's that moment when, you know what? So what? I'm giving away a car. So what? I'm selling all my shit. You know, people do that. You know, I have too much stuff. I'm gonna get rid of it. And it's that one moment when you realize, hey, there's really a problem. And then the other is knowing, and then it's taking that next step and fixing the problem. If you don't want the problem fixed, if you don't fix the problem, it's just gonna roll and roll and roll until, you know, you do something, you take your life, or you do something and hurt somebody. You know, it's, and I tell all my peeps that too. You know, if you ever need to talk to me, just I know, bro, I'm here. Call me up. You know, I could talk more than just flag business, because, you know, I like listening and talking. I like to talk. It's just it's making sure that you take that step. And sure, I have the support system, but they can only do so much. You're the one that has to pull and figure out, hey, do I really want to get help, or am I just going to let it go? Because you could tell somebody, hey, you're depressed, but they're the actual ones. I mean, state law. I mean, I'm depressed. I know I'm depressed, but then my wife takes me to the let's just, for instance, my wife takes me to the hospital. Hey, my husband is suicidal or is depressed and wants to hurt himself. They go, do you want to hurt yourself? Well, no, I don't. Because I'm going to tell you, no, I don't.
Right.
But because they can't keep me. They can't say, okay, well, he's not depressed. Well, here's some paperwork and go follow up with somebody. Unless I say, yeah, I really want to hurt myself, then that's the only time that they can go and say, okay, we're going to put you on a hold. But it's all about getting that people to help you out or helping yourself.
I agree, and that is the important thing. Again, recognizing it, but you have to individually be willing to make those steps. You really can't do a whole lot if, like you said, you have a support system. If you had, decided, hey, I want to keep being sad and stay in my bed, that's exactly where you'd be now. And I'm thankful you're not. Again,
yeah,
you've shown me some of the work you've done. I think it's fucking dope. I gotta tell people
I appreciate that.
I don't support, I would support you anyway. I might not advertise it, the way I do. If it was subpar, and the things, it's just not. You showed me all these cool flags that you're making with your hands, and it's just, dude, it's fucking cool.
Hold on one second. Let me grab something. Hold on. So this was my first. So this is the Stevie Wonder Helen Keller flag. It was the worst flag in the world.
I'm gonna be honest. It's probably still better than anything I could have mustered. It's definitely, again, if everybody watching, go check out the Arizona Flag Company. You'll see his work's clearly improved. Like I said, brother, probably better than anything I could do. So I mean, that's, you said looked like a blind person did it. I mean, it's a little bit better than that.
Bro.
Hey,
I'm keeping it though, just to remind myself where I came from, because one day I'm gonna hit it and be like, Bong's going big box store, Bong's going everything, and then I'm gonna be like, hey, this thing's gonna be worth some money when I'm able to do all that. So it's a little fun when my customers come over, pick up the flags. They're like, what other flags you have, And I'm like, oh well, let me show you the first flag that I ever built, and and I actually thought about throwing it away. Our bulk trash is on Fridays. I was like, it's just sitting here. I threw it out there.
Never throw that thing away, man.
No, my wife went out and got it. My wife went out and brought it back. And I'm like, all right. So I said, well, I'm gonna keep this in the garage so that now you can't park your car in the garage. That's the world's biggest problem right now, is where my wife's gonna park her car at.
Hey man, I feel like that's a good place to be, brother.
Yes, sir.
Hey. Jason, we're at the point, you get every show, every time I have a guest. What do you got for the people, man?
Hey, so I just to reach out to everybody. Don't take it for granted. Be there. Love everybody. I mean, this world, the way things are going nowadays. And my one thing is if you're driving in the fast lane, drive fast. I hate coming up to someone that's driving 54 miles an hour. And come on now. And just remember, mention when you message me, you want a flag, just mention that you saw this podcast, and I'll give you, what was it, 10%, right? Is that what we said?
10% off, yeah, 10% off, man.
Yeah, 10% off on your next flag purchase. But otherwise, I love everybody, and thanks for having me on here so I can tell my story. I haven't told my story to anybody. I appreciate you, man.
Hey, man, I appreciate you feeling comfortable enough to share it. As I said, everybody, the Arizona Flag Company. Are we on Facebook? Where else we at, Jason?
Instagram, TikTok. Just look up the Arizona Flag Company. That's all I have. I don't have Snapchat. I don't have anything like that. All I have is Instagram, Facebook, and that's it.
Hey, that's enough. Again, like I said, I just want to promote you guys. As he said, 10% off on your flag purchase. Jason, give your ideas to Jason. He'll let you know what he can do with them.
Anything. I mean, military, law enforcement. Your father was a commander in Vietnam and a certain brand or certain unit, and you want his unit patch on a flag. Let me know. I can make it happen. To team sports, Phoenix Suns. I have Phoenix Suns, Giants, Cowboys. Yeah, whatever. I don't care what team you like. I mean, because all you're really doing is showing me the money. And so,
there you go. The important
Giant. If you like the Giants, you don't. I don't. Who am I to judge? All right, not everybody's perfect. They don't like the Broncos. So that's all that matters.
Hey.
Hey.
Again, Jason, I appreciate having you.
Thank
as
you.
always, I'm gonna promote the guys that have been here with me from the beginning. Taj TV, he was on with me last episode. We got a little ridiculous, like I would on his podcast. Go check out the last episode. Go check out Taj TV. He's going on Sundays now. TAIJH. Find him on Facebook. Marcus over at Truth Valley Church. Again,
Marcus.
tell you, this is not for everybody, but if you're looking for an online ministry, if you're looking for an at-home ministry in the state of Arizona, particularly in the Phoenix area, Marcus at Truth Valley Church, they're doing great things through God. And, you're watching me. I'm going to promote myself.
Hell yeah.
Waiting Room Podcast. You'll find here, like, subscribe, share to your friends. Go to YouTube, subscribe there as well. I'm on Instagram. I'm not really great with Instagram yet. I don't have a whole lot to show you guys. Maybe a little bit more when I'm out of the country. But again, if you have questions, KyleTheWait@gmail. If you have something to correct me on, if you have an idea for a show, if you want to come on the show, if you just want to say thanks, for the show, anything you want, KyleTheWait@gmail. Again, everybody, it was a great show today. I appreciate you watching. Jason, I appreciate having you on. We may be absent a show Friday. Luckily, we're filling it with having Jason here. I'll see you guys Wednesday.
Hey, thanks a lot. Later.
Right, Jay.
Is that it?